Hey,
Hi,
it's Tash and Carly,
and you're listening to Motherhood,
not as we planned.
So get comfy, grab a cup of tea.
Or a glass of wine, and let's start talking about all the things too many of us avoid discussing.
Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode. Now you might see it, we are not with each other today.
No, so far.
Milo was sick twice yesterday, and Tash has a massive phobia of sick, so it's not a great combination. So we are zooming. Milo is here.
Zooming, you know, just got that. The show's got to go on, doesn't it? So
Life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Motherhood not as we planned.
Literally. So bit of a different setup, but still got all
We
you guys. Don't worry, don't panic. Still be a great episode.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
How's my week been? Oh, I can't even remember. I feel like I've been so busy. I had the kids this weekend. We just had like kids parties, seeing family, you know, the usual. And then, I don't know, there's been a few things this week where I get like ideas in my head, and instead of like letting them sit, I like act on impulse. So like I had it in my head like last year I kind of let my garden go a bit. Gardening's never been anything I've been part of. And I was like, right, Milo, we're going to B&M. We're going to go and get a load of gardening stuff. And like we got home, and that evening after school, the three of us were gardening. So I was like digging up weeds. I was cutting back bushes, giving myself a blister on my hand.
I mean, my garden's a fucking mess. So if you want to help me out, hon.
I've decided I'm going to pay for a gardener to do the rent, and then I'll maintain it. I was like, I don't think I actually know what I'm doing. And my gardens, I've got two, like a front and a back, and they're quite big. And yeah, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
So that lasted like, what, an afternoon?
No, we did 2 afternoons outside.
Okay, fair.
And Theo's begging to go out again. I'm like, darling, I'm bleeding. So, yeah, I'm all right. Actually, today is a year since I matched with my boyfriend on Bumble.
Really?
Today.
Love that.
How mad is that?
Yeah.
So that's exciting. So yeah, we've got a fun weekend planned for we kind of like call this our anniversary. I don't really know when we became official, but I think for both of us, like, we weren't speaking to anyone else, and we were very much invested in each other from the start. That's just the kind of people we are. So we just kind of count it as this. So yeah, it's nice.
Happy Annie.
Thanks, babes. How was your week? You've been off with the kids, haven't you?
Yeah, so they've had a completely different Easter holiday to everyone, which, do you know what? It's been so nice.
Yeah, I bet.
Everywhere is dead. Like, I took them to soft play. It looked like I rented the place out myself. Like, it's just been such a pleasure going to places. Like, I went to the zoo with them on Monday. There was no one. It was literally us and the animals. It was just, It was so lovely. So the days out that I've had with them, it makes such a difference when it's just so empty. And they've actually been like on good form. Like, they're actually, the last few days they've been with their dad, and I've struggled quite a bit. I'm not saying that I don't struggle normally, but I usually really embrace my kid free time. And I feel like just the school holidays, like, they've just been so lovely. It's such a pleasure. Other than not a pleasure anyway, but you know, when you're like ready to be like, I need a break, but like I didn't feel that way this time. Don't know, it's like sort of caught me off guard slightly. But I'm just trying to make the most of like my time on my own. Really now trying to like work on me being happier in my own company. I think it was last week, or maybe the episode that's out today, I briefly spoke about those kind of like bouts of loneliness that people get, and they can be quite dangerous. You can slip into kind of like bad habits of like trying to kind of like not get the wrong attention, but just, I don't know, I feel I am struggling a bit, kind of like with no connection. I'm just such a...
Yeah, I get that.
I do crave connection with someone, and I think I'm really trying to kind of like
not rely on that,
ride that wave. It's actually 2 months no contact tomorrow. No,
I don't think it was longer.
It was 2 months no contact yesterday. probably because we've been broken up for 4 months. I think I just look, there's no time, you can't put a time on these things. I just think I thought in 4 months' time, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
I was fine 4 months after my separation. I was in such a good place after my separation for 4 months down the line, maybe even 2 months down the line. So
Yeah.
I think it's just really hitting hard that I'm a bit like, when is this getting better? But
Yeah.
that helps. So yeah, but other than that, not really having very much to report. Sort of like day at a time and all that jazz.
Plodding.
Yeah, plodding. We asked you guys to send us in because we got a really funny response from the message I read on the live podcast from, I think his name was Daniel. And you know what is so funny?
Shout out to Daniel.
I had
you
2
reply?
people screenshot me the same.
No way, I told you.
I can listen to me. I couldn't help myself, but I replied to him.
Of course you did.
Although my hinge is on pause, I was like, this is just too good not to reply. And I messaged him being like, hey, lovely copy and paste message. Already know 2 people that have had the same. Maybe it's fun you switch it up a bit. And he replied to me, hold on.
Dying.
Rather than like unmatching me. He's replied going, with laughing emojis, just what does this mean? It means exactly what, isn't it?
Daniel. I know your game, Daniel.
Anyway, I just thought that was quite funny. So we have asked you guys to send us in like pretty much like funny, like one-liners or things that people have said to you on dating apps. So I thought I'd share a few of those to start off this week's episode because some of them are a bit funny. This one is called Pickup Line. Hey girls, I absolutely love the podcast. I can't wait for my walk with my dog on a Thursday morning, and I wait to walk until it's been released, as I know sometimes I'm out before 7 a.m. Keen, I know. Blimey, out before 7 a.m. That's goals. Anyway, I met my husband on Tinder. This was his pickup line. Cats or dogs? 3 years later, we got our gorgeous dog, and 6 years later, and we're now married. I love that. See, sometimes it is just as simple as like this or that question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's cute.
We should try and come up with some good ones, like particularly for those of people on Bumble. And you, as the female, you've got to reach out.
Girls,
I didn't know what to do. I just was like, hey.
The thing is, I think it's very difficult to think of something to say unless they've got prompts and you can kind of like use those into a conversation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like even though I just said that, I was like the opening. I remember he was like, I think I had a picture of me like axe throwing, and he said something like, do I need to be worried about your accuracy with that axe or something? And just kind of like opened up the conversation. It's
trying to make it a bit different to the normal, hi, you okay? 100%. Because if you're the 6th hi, you okay of that day, they may not be bothered to reply.
I agree.
So I don't know if this is anything to do with what we asked for, because I think this actually got sent in before, but it's quite relevant because the subject is called shit messaging experience. So shall I read this?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey girls, not sure if I'm looking for advice or just a bit of a rant because I'm not told a soul about this.
Oh, okay.
A while back, I got a random ad on Instagram. We have mutuals, so I accepted him. Turns out he comes to my hometown often to work. He wrote a story one day looking for some info, so I replied, giving him all the information. Fast forward a month, and we have still been messaging every day, just general chat with some added flirty banter in there. I'd absolutely presumed he had no girlfriend because there was no sign of her, no mention, and from the messages, I never would have thought he did.
Oh, good.
A week in, I asked him, and it turned out that he has a girlfriend. I was really shocked and surprised by this, as he said it didn't come up in conversation.
How I didn't know there was a conversation where I was to ask people when you're dating in 2024.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but if you have a girlfriend, surely you shouldn't be adding a random girl on Instagram and then talking to her every day. Red flag.
Where are those red
flaggers? Anyway, I know I should have stopped the messaging, but we never. We still continued. messaging every day, all day, most of it just general chit chat. It wasn't until I really thought about it and said to myself, is this actually ever going to go anywhere? I was investing so much time into someone that there was no mentioning of ever meeting. So I brought it up. She put in speech marks, are we probably not messaging a lot for someone who is in a long-term relationship? He said, yeah, I agree. We probably are, but you've got good banter and it's refreshing. And it's just stopped from there. I spent every day for the last month speaking to this guy. I probably caught a bit of feels. We got on so well and it felt like we'd really clicked. Now we've just went to nothing and he's carrying on about his life with his girlfriend. Not sure what advice or anything that I'm looking for here, but I just needed to get it out somewhere. Keep up the podcast, girls. It's been a saviour for me. Can I just say, I know that a lot of people listening to this will probably be like, why the fuck did you carry on messaging him? You had a girlfriend, like, it's kind of wrong of you, you knew. But I can really, really understand that when you start talking to someone and you feel there's that chemistry or connection, even when you see red flags or feel like you shouldn't, I think it takes a lot of discipline to stop yourself, especially if you're not in a good place and you're that conversation is kind of like lifting you in your day. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not excusing that, like, because that's obviously how affairs end up happening. But I think that you need to really reflect on this and realize that anyone that you speak to, if they were interested, they would show you. If they wanted to meet you and go out on a date with you, they would. No one's ever too busy for you. He has a girlfriend. So I think that however upset you are that it's sort of like he's stopped and it's gone back to his normal life, it's a blessing in disguise, because I think that it would have only ended up being more hurtful, because you're going to carry on getting more feelings and then there's no potential there. Like, he's obviously not a faithful person. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
I 100% agree. Like, for me, that is a big red flag. I'd be like, no. Like, to me, if I'm messaging someone or I'm dating someone or whatever you want to call it, I want to be the only person. I know that's not realistic these days, but I am a jealous person, and I don't know, like, for me, I want someone to be like all in. And
yeah, no, I completely start. I do have a story. I think I'm going to save it for Patreon.
Okay. Oh, so there's another email that has come in, and its title is funny/weird online dating messages, and we've got screenshots. So
do we?
Yeah. Okay, hi ladies, just thought on Insta that you're looking for some interesting messages from guys on dating apps. I've got a couple of screenshots I think you might like. Love the podcast. Look forward to every episode. Okay, I won't reveal his name. Let's call him Dave. So this is on Hinge, guys. So let's call it, what do I call him? Dave. What is your favourite thing to do?
Well, she put that.
Yeah. Dave says, anal. She says, is that actually what you thought I was asking? You asked my favourite thing in any concept? That's my answer.
Oh my God.
And then she said, I meant like hobbies and interests. Reading. What kind of books do you like? Biff and Chip.
What did he put?
Biff and Chip. Do you remember that? Primary school. Biff and Chip, Wilf and Wilma. Do you remember them? No, nostalgic. But seriously, this is dating, isn't it?
Is that the end of the conversation?
That's all we've got, the screenshot.
Oh my God, that is fucking hilarious. It's these men that literally go straight into the sexual stuff.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
For the next one, same girl. So he wrote, I'm going to do like a male voice. We're going to call this guy Pete.
Philip.
No, he's not a Philip. Trust me, I've read it.
Okay.
I said Pete.
Pete. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, babes. What do you do for a living? I work for OpenReach, work with fibre optics, running cables underground and in people's homes. You never know, I might get sent to do yours one day, so I expect the kettle on. She wrote, tea or coffee? Gotta be coffee. I don't drink tea. Yuck. I'll eat and drink you though. And then he's done a peach emoji, squirting water ×4 emoji, and a tongue emoji.
Oh my.
And then a monkey face, and then a
oh my God, I'm just
no. Why do people think that this is like a thing?
okay. Here's one. This is beyond weird. Are you ready? First thing this guy says: "You're so cute. I want to store you in my basement in a duffel bag."
What the actual? What?
I asked her if she went out with him.
Yeah.
Oh my God, please. I asked what's important qualities that he's looking for in a girl. Kind, thoughtful, and swallows.
You know what? Is it banter? Is it too much?
For me,
That's too much, isn't it?
yeah, it's a no from me.
Yeah, me too.
So it's hard on that.
But I can imagine some girls liking that. You know?
The thing is, I think if someone's going on there and not looking for Mr. Right and just wants a bit of attention, a bit of a confidence boost, and is looking to just like have a bit of fun, then maybe they'd be like funny, they're good banter.
Yeah. It's not
though.
is it? Let's be honest.
But if I was like, you know, first time going back in there, feeling a bit nervous, and I got hit with that, I'd literally be like angry.
Yeah, same things.
Match with a guy on Bumble, and the first question he asked me is if I had the COVID vaccine. I'd be like, I find that really icky. Like, is that literally your first question?
Yeah, that is okay.
I find that weird.
Should we go into some email?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go into some emails.
Ladies, I've emailed him before, but always about my story. And this time it's all about needing some advice. But the only thing is I need it sooner rather than later, as I'm in the situation now and need your support. I really hope we can get our advice on time, just where everything goes out. But back history, I was in a domestic abuse relationship for 10 years with 2 young kids. I was gaslit to believe I was cheated on because I was shit at sex and treated him like a brother. And then when I gave up trying to have sex, he decided to just start raping me. Oh, God. So sorry. I was alienated from all family and friends, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Anyway, 2.5 years ago, I left him for the second time after he hit our 6-year-old really badly. God. Something I'm not...
can I just quickly say, like, well done for getting out, because obviously we can't relate, but trauma bonds and abuse is not something that we are familiar with. But I know, not firsthand, that it's a lot harder to leave something like that. So you should be fucking proud of yourself.
Something I'm not proud of, but my son saved us from the hell that was my life. So I have been single 2.5 years, done all the therapy and domestic abuse support groups and got myself strong. Also listened to your podcast and done the inspo board and the diary of positives and gratefulness. That's really nice.
Oh, I love that.
Life is good, and I have counselling, and we discussed that maybe I should try dating if I want, as there is no magic date that I would be ready. I agree. Like, there's never, you don't hit a point, you're like, I'm ready now. Like, you don't really ever know, do you?
Yeah.
So I joined the dating app scene, and after a few bad ones, I found an absolute gem of a man. He makes my heart feel alive. This guy's been amazing. He listens, he is able to show emotion, and honestly, we have been on 3 full day dates and in contact all the time. And when I'm with him, I just feel so happy that I could burst. There is a bit of distance between us, but he always talks positively about that working for us in the long term. Here is where I need your help. Why do I feel like I don't deserve him? Why am I sat here crying my eyes out typing this? Why do I feel like he's only with me until he finds someone better? I just want to chip in on that because I actually resonate with some of those feelings. I think, I mean, my situation doesn't remotely compare to yours because you were in a domestic abuse relationship. I think it's the things you're feeling and the trauma you've been through is way bigger than I could ever even begin to like fathom. But I think when you've been through certain things in your life, you end up losing a lot of self-worth. Like you don't feel like you're worthy of love, because I think where you've experienced someone not loving you and making you feel unworthy and making you feel like you're to blame for everything, you don't feel like you're deserving to receive a real kind of love. And I think this is something that I have actually struggled with over the last year, being with someone who loves me in a way I could never have imagined. I didn't really know that a relationship could be like this. And one thing I've said those same words, like, why do I deserve this? Almost like feelings like this is too good to be true. Like something's got to go wrong. Like, I don't know, this is how crazy I can be sometimes. But like, there's even been moments, how I know I'm a bit delulu. I don't know if anyone's ever thought this. I can't believe I'm saying it on the podcast, but do you ever get moments where you think like you're in the Truman Show and that the Truman Show was oh my God, and that the Truman Show was sent as like a clue to show you that you're in the Truman Show?
Sometimes I literally think to myself, I do have those thoughts.
Okay, so I'm not completely crazy.
I'm like, watch, and I'm like, fucking hell.
Then I'm like, well, maybe this man's been sent like for entertainment for me to fall in love so that my heart can get broken. Like, it's actually insane, like the things I think. But I completely understand that. I have cried feeling undeserving and as well for me, like feelings of how quick I found my person. I feel like, why do I deserve that and someone else doesn't? Like, I know people have been trying to find someone. I had this enormous sense of guilt that one of my best friends hasn't settled down yet with anyone, and she's really trying hard with the dating to try and find her person. And I felt really guilty that I'd come out this long relationship and marriage and feel like I found my person. So I felt really undeserving of that. And I think it's really important, and I'll just touch on this and then I'll read it because you might have said more. But for me, the one thing that has helped is speaking openly about those feelings with my partner, and kind of like having some really uncomfortable conversations about why I might feel like that. And actually what I've kind of come to realize is that that's all in my head, and actually I am deserving of being loved, and actually what we have is very real, and he's deserving of that as well. And I think we've kind of been through some similar things together, well, not together, but some similar things. So I think he understands those feelings, so that empathy is there. So I would definitely try and talk to him. I'm going to finish the rest of this email because obviously there's more to it. So he sends me wonderful messages and words of affirmation, and I just discard it from my brain or change it to mean something negative, or that he's just trying to bid his time to end it. I constantly think I should just message him that I can't date him anymore, as I'm so scared of getting hurt again. And in some ways, actually being happy scares me too. I relate to this so much. I've tried to self-sabotage so many times. Like, this man, like the fact I'm sitting here, like it's a year today since we met, I've done that. Like, I've tried to run away multiple times. He can vouch for that. Tried to run away multiple times. And he always used to say to me, it's like, Carly, just let me love you. I just want to love you. Like, I'm not asking for the world. And it's terrifying. And the one thing, he was like, I don't understand. Like, if you run away, you're still going to go through that hurt of like losing someone you love. And he's right. But I said, but I feel like I would be in control of that situation, and it's having that control. But when I looked at it, like, I don't want to lose him. I love this man, and I needed to gain some sense in controlling my triggers, in controlling these sporadic, irrational feelings, because that's what I get. Like, for me, if something's been going right for too long, I think something bad's coming. It's weird saying it out loud because I feel like I sound a bit insane, but like literally I feel everything you're saying. So firstly, like, just know you're not alone. And actually, I've spoken to so many people on my Instagram who message me seeing me in a relationship now, and they say, how did you get through it? Like, how did you allow yourself to love after what you went through? How do you not self-sabotage? And the fact is, I've done all those things. Like, I really have. And I'm not perfect. I'm not saying like, I'm not even 100% there yet with the like self-sabotage. Not all the time. I'm 100% better than before. And we both
I think we've discussed it before, where there's like a fine line between being able to witness that you've got a partner that is able to kind of like help you through that kind of insecure self-sabotage, and then also taking some responsibility that eventually it's self-work that needs to be done to make sure that you don't allow those triggers and traumas to affect a good thing. And the fact that you see a therapist, I think, is really good, because that's obviously work that you need to do. But I think also making sure, and has the email been, if we finished the email or no, I think it's making sure, and you might mention this, is that he really understands you and hears you and validates those feelings. I think that is a big
100%
sign as to whether he is a good person for you or not. Because I've said in the past, like, if you're an overthinker, then you do need to be with someone that's an over-explainer. But it does get to a point where it can't be all put on them.
Yeah, and it's
accountability does eventually need to be had.
I just decided like I needed to be responsible for taking control of my triggers, because this relationship is really important for me. And like, you know, I'm very much at the point where I believe I'm going to be with this person for the rest of my life. So I don't want to carry on bringing in triggers into my relationship. I'm actually signed up to a course online. I need to find the name of the girl. I'll post her on our podcast page when this goes out. But she does courses. She does do more personal ones, but they were a bit too much money. But I do a monthly membership, and she teaches you different ways to release the triggers. So she says something really interesting, which I'd never really thought about before. And I think this might help you in understanding like why you're feeling the way you're feeling. But triggers are actually physical bits of pain that are deep within your central nervous system. They're in there, they're embedded in there, and they're trapped inside. So when bad things happen, they get trapped inside. And the reason they keep getting brought up is certain things will trigger them, and those feelings are very much still there. And she teaches you ways to release the pain and release the triggers from your body. So there's like a lot of breath work. It's just honestly like being able to, a lot of it is like self-regulation. And actually I found some of the techniques I use in that actually help me as a mum, like self-regulate on those days that are really difficult, or self-regulate when trying to communicate with the kid's dad. But it's just been really, really helpful for me. Like, I'm not saying I've cracked it yet, but it's definitely like now I just feel like I needed the tools to be able to handle things better and manage things better. And that's what I want to do. And I think
you're now taking accountability for that rather than just solely relying on your partner, however supportive they are.
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell him any of this and scare him off, but equally in my gut, I know he would be brilliant about it all. Tell him, explain to him how you're feeling. I promise you that is also going to be a sign. How he responds and how he reacts and what he does next. You're in the early stages still. We were on the beach walking the last day and he said, "You are really special." And I just burst into tears, and he was great after. I tried badly to explain that they were happy tears. He hugged me and kissed me until it was all okay, and said that I just needed to go with those feelings as it was his job to make me happy. I have also had sex with him, which was amazing. And I think he enjoyed it too. I also worry he thought I was crap. I'm going to lose interest as I have nothing to offer. What a head fuck, hey. I don't know what I want you to say. I just know you'll read this and give your spin, and maybe that will help. In my heart, I know he's the one I have been looking for, but why won't my head let it be? Love you guys lots and lots. Let me know your thoughts.
Well, I think it's evident that you still have quite a bit of like work to do on yourself. I think it's amazing that by the sounds of it, you have found someone that, you know, you even said in your gut, you know, that he'd be really supportive. So I think you need to put that to the test, because I think it will be, you know, I don't know how long you've been seeing each other, but, you know, you're probably still in that qualifying stages of really like learning about him. And I think it's a good test to see how he reacts to something that's quite like raw and honest from you. So my advice would be to open up to him and to really let him in and let him help you as best as he can. But also it's taking accountability and seeing those things that you need to work on, and make sure that you do that with your therapist, because you deserve to be happy. And it would be a real shame for, you know, triggers from your past to jeopardize that happiness, because it's obviously something that he wants to give you.
Yeah, I agree. Look, it takes time. It's not something that's going to be a quick fix overnight. I mean, like, you might find that while things feel really hard right now and almost a bit scary and impossible, he might be exactly what you need to help you heal. And if he's that supportive person and you let him in and, you know, you're honest with him. But my biggest piece of advice is when you feel triggered by things or you get these like irrational thoughts in your head, is to step away first before you react or respond.
Yeah. My story, it's long. Hi, ladies. It has taken me a while to decide to send this message because I don't know where to start. I met my husband initially in late 2004, working in a bar, and soon fell head over heels, started dating in January 2005. We soon became serious, and he was the perfect person, caring, kind, would do anything and everything for me, treated me like a princess. We did everything together. My whole family loved him. He would always take me out and pay for everything, and even always would treat my parents to meals, holidays, etc. We got married in 2010, had the most beautiful wedding and honeymoon. We waited a year before we had children, but welcomed our first child in 2012. Life was perfect. In time, I started to sleep in a bed with our son as he wouldn't settle. And eventually, over the next few months, my husband continued to go out and I would always be left staying in with our boy. I noticed that he started to drink heavily as he wouldn't get home until 2, 3 in the morning, very drunk with a newborn. It just wasn't fair. I felt I became the moaner, always complaining about his late nights. We soon became pregnant with our second child. I noticed something was different and confided in my family, saying, "Do you think he would cheat on me?" But honestly, all my family said, "No way." My mum even was saying that out of all of her son-in-laws, as she had 5, he was honestly the least likely to be the cheater as he adores me. But for me to even say that, my gut was telling me something. When 7 months pregnant, I found messages on his phone. But he convinced me that it was nothing. When I was 9 months pregnant, a woman showed up at my house. And she couldn't believe I was pregnant and still with my husband.
Oh my God, these men.
As he had promised her a new life with her and her daughter. Heartbroken was an understatement. I've got goosebumps. I pretty much forgave him as I was due our second baby within days. My whole family and I forgave him as he was not the type and his job was very stressful. We moved on. He promised me it was the biggest mistake of his life. I can't quite remember the timeline, but within a year or less, I was noticing the same shady behaviour. Always taking his phone into the bathroom, going out late, working away more, never able to FaceTime when I called. I know, huge red flags constantly, but you just don't want to believe it when you're in it. But with 2 children, under 18 months, I didn't know what to do. Cutting a very long story short, over the next 10 years, so 2012, 2022, I would constantly be hoping the man I first met would come back and treat me like a princess and love our children. Week in, week out, I would find some sort of message on his phone. I kept a lot from my family. I find that really relatable. As we had a family tragedy and I didn't want to burden my parents with my shit. Week in and week out, he would come home drunk and he would forget to delete his messages. And he would be texting saying, "I love you," etc. Honestly, when I would confront him in the morning, as no point when drunk, he would convince me his friend's wife would be texting him by mistake as she had a friend with the same name. Honestly, the lies that these men conjure up, it just is mind-blowing. I know, unbelievable that I stayed, but there was always something like a holiday booked, Christmas around the corner, so I just never left. Over time, he promised me he would change. We tried counselling, etc. I know in hindsight, when you look back and you put it all in an email and you'll read it and you'll be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I stayed after that. I can't believe I stayed after that." But I really relate with that because I did that for so many years. And I think that as much as sadly it might be because you have low self-worth, which I know I had, I also know that I held on so much to that potential and like hoping that I hadn't wasted my time with someone that he was gonna
Change.
end up being that person that I saw once upon a time. It wasn't that I needed him to become a person that never existed. At one point, that person did exist. I think it's so difficult for people to like let go of that hope. Yeah. And when I think you're such like the type of person I am, is like I don't like giving up on people. I always like see the best in people.
Yeah,
fix there, and I'm like, it will happen. Like they will change. He will come back. So like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like we've always said, like it is easier to stay. However much shit you get dragged through, that unknown and being on your own with kids is so daunting that, yeah, I just don't want you to, you know, hear us reading your email and be like, oh my God, what an idiot. Because I think a lot of people would say. Again, in March 2020, a day before lockdown, a woman phoned me to say she was pregnant with his baby.
Oh,
shit. Day before lockdown. Once again, I was distraught and my heart shattered, but he couldn't go anywhere as we were not allowed to go near any family, and his parents were elderly and had severe illnesses. Maybe another excuse. Literally forgave and brushed under the carpet and said,
oh my God.
Said the woman was a psycho and there was no baby.
Oh my God.
Literally, we had the best time during lockdown with our 3 boys. Oh, there's 3 now. Didn't even realise that. He was completely at home 24/7 as he worked in hospitality and all pubs were closed. In hindsight, couldn't go out and cheat, and because he wasn't drinking, never slipped up with deleted messages. He became sober into his fitness, unplanned. We found out we were pregnant in Feb 21. You know, that's why I loved lockdown so much. Never felt so in control of my marriage. Sad, really. So I really relate. Honestly, I thought it was a turning point. Lockdown seemed to change him. Along came our 4th child, a daughter, and I begged for him to continue down this path of being the person I first met. And I just tried to say, we have a daughter now, and we wouldn't want her to be treated how he treated me. He promised he didn't know why, but I was... he promised that he didn't know why, but I was his world. My world came crashing down when our daughter was 5 months old. He never came home from a night out. But once again, I still didn't leave. And over the next 6 to 12 months, I would find messages, but this time I would confront him when seeing them, and he would end up in a fight with him, trying to get his phone off of me. It became mental. I'm a normal mother of 4 with a compulsive, lying cheat, but I didn't know what to do. I felt trapped. I kept telling him that if this continues into my 40s, that I wasn't doing it anymore. My family had noticed my spark had gone. My hair had turned grey, just trying to keep afloat. Exhausted, I gave up, but I was still staying in this toxic marriage. I still was turning 40, and on the night he took me away for my birthday, he promised that this was it. The kids and I were for him, and he was going to change. We had a lovely night away, but at 2 a.m, I woke up by his phone messages, and when I opened them, it was a message. It was his mistress sending a photo to my husband saying, just got home, night, love you. How can someone do this on their wife's 40th birthday? Again, heart shattered. I just didn't know what to do. Surprised, still stayed as Christmas was just around the corner. The same would happen in early 2023, but suddenly I was 40. My eldest was now 10 years old. I noticed he saw us having a horrendous fight, and I thought I really need to change something, but still never left. March 2023, he'd been out in the day and he was acting strange. And when we got home, he fell asleep on the sofa and I went to bed. Normally, he always slept downstairs. Then at 2 a.m, a knock on my door. Again, his mistress, the first thing she said was, do I live here? I was gutted. But actually, the next morning, for the first time, I took his keys and asked him to be gone when I got back. Normally, I would leave and go and stay with my parents. To this day, I still question whether I made the right decision.
You did.
I feel I have no other choice but to leave. He thought I would never leave. He never thought I would leave him, even though I work. He is the main earner. When I think about the last 11 years, people would have ran after the first mistress. I totally understand why people can't. It's because the thought of money, house, kids. I still feel like I loved him. He was my world, but he's the only person I've been with. So maybe it's just because I don't know how it is to be treated right. I'm put up with this shit for so long, it feels normal. After all this, I still can't move on. It's been 14 months and I'm really struggling. I think it's the fact that I see him most days, weeks, kids have hobbies, and he is still very much a full-time dad. I think I'm just so miserable and lonely. I sometimes think I should just have stayed for the company. I think it's going to take me time as my family think I'm a much better person now without him smiling again. I know this was long, but honestly, there are so many other stories of times I found him cheating, but my email is already too long. I could do with some advice as to how to move on when you still have to have contact. P.S. I love your podcast. I do try and take your advice. Thank you. Honestly, my heart breaks reading that story because you've spent so many years with someone that just has absolutely no respect for you.
No respect.
And I'm wondering whether you really listening to what you have written is going to maybe be that light bulb moment. Like, I mean, look, to be honest, you've been without him for 14 months. So you've already obviously had that light bulb moment. So I really want to acknowledge like how brave and strong you are for doing that, because the longer you stay, the harder it is to leave. But I think this is a prime example of when you make no changes are made, and he will constantly continue to do the same thing over and over again. And I've said before, you know, those bouts of loneliness that you get are dangerous because sometimes you end up just thinking, I'm better off with that person and having some company. But I think you really need to remind yourself of those times where you constantly felt the need to check his phone, women turning up at your house, a pregnant person telling you that she is carrying a child.
Yeah.
You haven't mentioned that again, so I don't know what happened with that. But I think that is really, really time to do the therapy, do the work, make those. I mean, I could fucking write a list of 100 things of benefits why you shouldn't be with this person.
Do you know what? I would also sit and ask yourself, if this was my daughter and she was coming home and she was telling me about all these things she's put up with throughout the last however many years, would I turn around to her and say, you should stay with this man? Because I guarantee you absolutely wouldn't. You would be like, get out. It is the best thing to happen to you to leave this man. Like Tash said, he has zero respect for you. He has zero respect for the family that you have created. Sorry to be really blunt. He doesn't, because he's continually fucking other women, getting other women pregnant, leading them on, telling them God knows what. He has zero respect for anything that he's created. And the thing, and I'm sorry, this is going to sound really blunt, but the reason he's doing it again and again is because you keep forgiving him. Keep taking,
there's no consequences.
You know, he can get away with it.
Yeah.
Evil, evil man. He's having his ego stroked. He's being told he's amazing. He's got all these different women. And I know right now you say you're in love with him, but are you really in love with a man who can be that inconsiderate? Someone who can know the amount of pain they're inflicting on someone, the amount of disrespect for you, for your children, for how hard you are working to give him another chance and to beg for that change. But I want you to really sit with the thought of, if my daughter came to me one day and told me all these things, what advice would I give to her? The fact is, you are 100% better off without him. And I think a big part of it is, like you said, you haven't been with anyone else. You don't know any different. This is all you know. But I promise you, love isn't meant to be that hard. It's not meant to be that disrespectful. It's not meant to be that difficult. It's not meant to be a game where you're checking his phone. There's meant to be trust there. That is a bare minimum, and I think we need to remember that. None of those things are happening for you. I promise right now, it might seem like you are never going to find anyone again, but that's all in your head, because you absolutely will. You absolutely will, if that's what you want.
Yeah, you've given him enough of your years and your energy. It's really time to start doing the work on yourself and really noticing that, like you said, unfortunately, like these men or anyone, in fact, will continue doing what they're doing and when they've got no consequences, and you've been enabling him, unfortunately. And I just really, really hope that, although the last 14 months you're obviously still really struggling, I don't know if it's even an option. Please don't go back. Like, it's not, you don't want to look back and see that you've spent your whole life with someone that didn't respect you. You're 40, you're still young, you've got so much of your life ahead of you. Like, set an example to your children as well of self-love and self-worth. And I can't remember if she mentioned if she sees a therapist or not, but I think you need to, and really start doing the work on you to, be in a better headspace to then find someone, if you want to, that is worthy of your time and your love. And thank you for emailing it in. Like, it was hard to read, so I can only imagine how hard it must have been to write. Yeah. I can really, really understand why you held on, but you're in love with the potential, not the actual person. And I think that's what you need to start.
Yeah,
really.
It's the idea of it. It's the idea of the family unit, that he's not the man you fell in love with. No, be in love with someone like that.
Yeah, and he can't love you if he was willing to treat you that way. So it's time to
start doing things. Go and rediscover the things that make you happy. Go and find who you are, like, beyond this relationship. And like Tasha, do the work.
Yeah.
Confession of the week.
Okay, so confession of the week. My husband had an affair, so I poured bleach into his £11,000 boat engine. Yeah, it's safe to say, and didn't start after that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Carl was a bitch, hon. Okay, affirmation of the week for you guys. Are you ready? If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
Never heard a true word.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. Sorry for it being on Zoom. Bit annoying, but never mind.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's it's more. Make sure, as always, you subscribe, follow, get those reviews on there. Really, really helpful. 5-star review, obviously. And subscribe on YouTube, share it on your Instagram. And thank you everyone for listening.